all things can be used to heal, but some things are more food-like and some things are more medicine, and there's a spectrum of these things.
It is such a cute idea to want to put your herbs in your food, but like some herbs just don't taste good, don't ruin the meal.
It's your liver. It's stressed out. All taproot vegetables have a positive effect on the liver, but my favorites are beets.
So in Ayurveda, they recommend that after you have intercourse, then you and your partner go and make and drink what they call an Ojas beverage.
Welcome to Herbalism Uncensored, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of herbalism and natural healing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Lila. We're two clinical herbalists who recognize the need for honest and authentic conversations about the state of natural healing today. As practitioners, we feel called to have uncensored discussions about why people aren't finding relief and what to do about it.
If you're frustrated by lack of results, overwhelmed by conflicting advice online, disillusioned by the commercialization of wellness, or simply passionate about natural healing, you're in the right place.
This podcast is our way of cutting through the noise, busting myths, and challenging marketing gimmicks.
This is Herbalism Uncensored,
where together we're nurturing the future of natural healing.
The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute in any way for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. It's important that you always seek the advice of your physician or other licensed healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding a medical condition. Welcome to this week's episode of Herbalism Uncensored, where we are going to talk about food.
Oh, my favorite topic.
Well, yeah, you're a nutritionist.
And I like to eat, but
and
yes.
You like to eat. I also really like to eat, yeah.
And more specifically, we're going to talk about healing foods and using food as medicine in kind of a new context.
Yeah, this is a continuation just a bit because we were going to talk about some healing food remedies for cold and flu in our last episode. And we talked so much about herbal remedies for cold and flu that we ran out of time to talk about food. And we're going to, start there because food is medicine. And we want to talk about the Food-Medicine Continuum, right? Because all things can be used to heal, but some things are more food-like and some things are more medicine-like. And there's like a spectrum of these things.
Yeah, when we're explaining herbs, because people often have these reservations or preconceived notions about herbs being dangerous or scary, most of the time, herbs are food. They're concentrated specialty foods, but there are some herbs at the far end of the spectrum that are more medicinal. You use them in smaller doses. They taste worse. They're a bit different. So we like to talk about the spectrum of food being, this gives us macronutrients, to this at the other end of the spectrum, really potent things that we have to use in small amounts because they can have adverse effects if we use too much.
Absolutely. And then I come across the almost like an opposite preconceived notion sometimes. Like when I talk to clients and I say that I use herbal teas and they're expecting like some beautiful chamomile, rose, mint tea that's maybe a couple of tea bags per day. And yes, that's a beautiful, tasty way to get some herbs in. But then a lot of the more medicinal things, you're going to use them in much higher doses and they're not going to taste good. And it's not an enjoyable beverage at the end of the day. It's something that we slug down because it's healing.
Social media is doing herbalism and natural healing zero favors, because you go on the internet and you look at quote unquote herbalists and they're making these really aesthetic teas and come to my herb school, and they sell you this vision that's not reality. That's not how we use these things. It's not how they're healing. That's not the doses. The teas most of the time are not cute. They don't taste good. I wish it were this whimsical fairy, my clear tea jar with the flower floating in. It's just like, that's not reality of clinical herbalism. I'm so sorry.
No, and therein lies it's part of the difference between clinical herbalism and wise women or folk herbalism. And I will say, because I always do try to keep an open mind, and the way that I see things are always evolving, that there are subtle uses of herbs. I think that if I'm trying to use something, a shok, for example, if I'm using a shok to help with my grief, I probably don't need to take as much of it as I do if I'm using a shok to stop excessive menstrual bleeding. When I'm looking for the subtle effects, like the energetic or spiritual effects of a plant, it doesn't take so much. But as a clinical herbalist, I am more attuned or more used to working with plants clinically, and to get real clinical results, we use them differently. And same thing with foods. Foods have medicinal properties, but like eggplant comes to mind, right? Eggplant is an amazing female tonic. I love it, like in the book Herbal Defense by Robin Landis. That was written together with our mentor. She was amenorrheic. Hadn't had a cycle in how long?
Oh, it was years, like 15 years maybe?
Like she hadn't had a cycle for years, and she ate eggplant every day, and it took about a year, and she started to menstruate again. But it takes longer. It's because it's food-like. It's going to take longer. It's higher doses. She ate a lot of eggplant. I think she ate like nothing but eggplant dishes. Eggplant with
Yep.
every meal.
It was at least 50% of her diet.
Yeah.
Well, and just while we're on the topic, I've noticed a trend. A lot of my clients lately are coming in from herb schools. Like they are studying herbalism or they're studying Ayurveda, and they have a disposition that I know natural healing works, but they're not necessarily able to put it into clinical practice or like make it effective. And I think it's because this kind of aesthetic herbalism is what is taking off. And we're losing a lot of the nuance of how these things are actually used in practice to make them clinically effective. So just it's really I've just noticed that lately, and I find it fascinating.
Yeah. That reminds me, we had a comment on Spotify. I don't know if you saw it, of someone who listened to our tincture episode. And they're an herbalist, and their training was in tinctures, and they wanted to know where they could find this therapeutic dose that we continue to talk about. And we need to direct them to a source, because they won't find it in tinctures. Find the therapeutic dose of the actual herb and do some arithmetic to get to the therapeutic dose of what a tincture would be.
Right. Maybe we need to do a tinctures 2.0 episode or something, because that episode definitely rustled some feathers.
It stirred the pot. What we need to do is get a hold of Dr. Yarnell and have him on and ask him about tinctures.
And I've as I've talked to a few herbalists, like the tinctures or not tinctures is a bit of a divisive topic. Like, people feel a way, and I think I feel a way, and there's other people that feel a completely different way. So it's interesting. But like, I'll just really, again, we're now off in the weeds, but like, there's nowhere I can point you to get good clinical dosing. Like, it is an amalgamation of first person learning, of mentorship, of knowing what books were written by good clinicians. Like, there's no aster source or document for dosing. Dosing is one of the most challenging pieces of herbalism.
It is. And the dose that works for one person might not work for the other. Some people respond to lower doses. Some people need higher doses. This is where I think constitutional body typing, it becomes such an amazing skill, whereas somebody with a Vata constitution is going to respond to lower doses. Somebody with a Pitta constitution is going to burn up their medicine with their high digestive fire and their high metabolism and need higher doses. I'm a high dose individual. I have an iron stomach. I can digest just about anything, and I need the max dose of almost everything that I take.
All right, I think I found next week's episode topic. I mean, we need to do a dosing episode.
A dosing episode and talk about loading doses.
Yeah, but for now, let's talk about food,
We're going
because
to talk about food.
I almost think that it's a bit of a we misguide people. And I love that you brought up the eggplant story, because It's so nice to think we can use food as medicine, and we can, but I think people really underestimate what that means. You know, if we're treating anti-inflammatory issues with food, your entire diet, I mean, like 95% of your diet is going to be green vegetables. Like, that's it. You are eating
And berries.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to have a serving of cabbage with dinner and think that this is food as medicine. Like, the amounts of these foods you have to get in because they are so mild is really high, which is why I love herbs, because, you know, they're a little more, they get you results a little quicker than the food. You know, Robin Landis could have probably gotten her menstrual cycle to start differently quicker, but I love that she did it with eggplant. Like, I think that's really cool and fascinating.
I mean, and you can cut this if you don't want to get too personal, but when I met you, you hadn't had a cycle for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And what did it take? Was it 2 months?
Yeah, it might not even have been 2 full months. Like, I might have seen something in the first 6 weeks after you came up with that dope protocol, and that was great.
We were using some Chinese herbs and
big doses.
Big doses. And you got big results.
Yeah. And I was also willing to put up with the side effects of, you know, like, I knew what I was doing, and I'm like, I will go big and get quicker results.
Yeah.
So
I'll go big and put up with a little bit of moodiness and some tender breast and things like that.
Exactly. Yep.
But we kickstarted things. And then we can support, and that's what I like to do, because we can kickstart things with the herbs and get some results and relieve symptoms quickly, and then incorporate foods. That's how I live my life. Like, when I'm eating, I'm thinking about what I'm eating and what it's good for. Am I getting fiber? Am I getting vitamin C? Is this good for my lungs, or is this good for my reproductive system? This is something that's particularly good for my brain health. I like to start the day with almonds and walnuts. Good for my brain, get me going. I've always known that food is fuel. I've always known that food is nutrition. I grew up with a grandmother who was a nurse who did integrative medicine, and when she would hand me food, she would say things like, here, have an orange. It's full of vitamin C. Eat these almonds. They're good for your mind. This is brain food. And I have, in my life, met people. I know that not everybody is trained to see food in that way. I talked to a friend years ago. She said that she had no idea that food was anything other than something you just shoved in your mouth and swallowed so that you didn't feel hungry anymore. And so there was never any thought of, what is the nutritional value of this?
Yeah.
What is it good for? Or what is it bad for?
Yeah, there's still a big disconnect. And I think part of it's because modern medicine hasn't quite come around to the impact that food makes on our health, for better or for worse. And so you're going to get professionally trained dietitians and nutritionists out there who are trained in the Western medical model who don't see food the way we see food, which is really interesting. So I think that disconnect still needs to get bridged. The other point I wanted to make is when I did go on an herbal protocol specifically for my menstrual stuff going on, I also ate a lot of eggplant. And it wasn't that eggplant was going to take me the distance. It was, how many things can we layer in that are going to get everything moving in the right direction? Mm-hmm. And you already have to eat, right? Like, you're already eating 3 meals a day. Why not make those meals work for you and what you're trying to achieve? Like, it is just one more opportunity to get nutrients in that are going to take you to your health and happiness goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So use it to your advantage because you're already eating.
You're already eating. It's free medicine. That's something that if I work with a client who's on a budget, then they get a lot of nutritional advice, because it's like, hey, you are already spending money on food. So this is essentially food. This is medicine that doesn't take anything out of your budget.
Yes.
It's just about being conscious about what it is you're using to achieve your goals.
And I want to emphasize that, because I think it's so important to recognize there are so many entry points to this type of work. And if you can't afford certain things, like, there's just different starting points, you know? Lifestyle changes are free. Nutrition is something you're already doing. Like, herbs and supplements are great if you can budget that in, but there is a starting point for anyone, no matter where they are in their journey, and that is what I love about this type of work.
Yes.
Let's talk. So I think we mentioned it in our last episode that if you are coming down with cold and flus, one thing you can do is just eat a ungodly amount of jalapenos. I know you like to pickle them, which is great. That I also like to pickle them because I think you can eat more when they're pickled. But if I'm starting to get sick, I'm getting that scratchy throat or maybe feeling a little lethargic or, just a little under the weather is coming, this is one thing that I will layer in to help fight it off. And they're called jalapeno pancakes. And I think they're delicious. They're a little odd probably to the average person, but I think they're pretty palatable. So you take chickpea flour and I load it with veggies. I'll put cauliflower and carrots and onions and ginger and garlic and really load it up. And then I'll chop in a couple jalapenos, season it with Bragg's liquid amino acids, or I'll throw in, turmeric and chili powder and paprika and salt and pepper. You want it salty. The salt it's needed in this recipe. You mix a little water in and you fry it in some ghee, and it is like this delicious, just nutrient dense pancake that you can munch on. And it has saved my butt a few times of, I'm right on the edge of getting sick and didn't end up getting sick.
Yeah, done the jalapeno. I haven't done the jalapeno pancakes, but I mean, we eat a lot of peppers around here. And when we pickle them, I really think if it's like I've eaten a bowl of pickled jalapenos, like a cereal bowl full of them, and they're delicious. I'd try to pickle the jalapenos that day and just leave them in the pickling menstruum. Did I say it in that liquid? For just a few hours, because the longer they sit in the refrigerator in that vinegar, they do start to lose some of their nutritional value. One thing that I haven't tried that I've thought about doing, I think you've done this with cayenne, is made kimchi. Have you fermented it?
I've never made my own kimchi.
Have you never fermented cayenne? I thought you had fermented some cayenne.
Oh, you mailed me cayenne.
Huh?
And I turned it into a fermented hot sauce.
Yeah.
And it was hot as hell.
Oh, yeah, my cayenne pepper. I just throw cayenne seeds in my yard and pepper plants grow, and they are hot.
It was so hot. So it was really good, but it was really hot. My bottle is a lifetime supply because it's 1 or 2 drops at a time.
Well, that's one thing that I haven't done that I want to do is, and maybe I'll do it soon, is to make fermented peppers, because then they can stay on the shelf. They don't lose their nutritional value. In fact, they gain nutritional value because as they ferment, we get prebiotics, and we also their vitamin C content increases. It adds vitamin B content, and you can slather them on just about anything.
Yum. So if you were, go ahead.
Oh, I also thought some of these recipes that we talk about, I can create a little document for us to upload so that people have the recipes that we're mentioning.
That's a great idea. Yeah, jalapeno pancakes, or any way you can get jalapenos in, soup, relish, pickled, roasted, whatever is going to be really beneficial, and just knocking out cold and flu, antiviral, lots of heating, warming spices. It's going to release the exterior. If you listen to our last episode, that's a really great thing just to keep in your pocket if you can tolerate the spice. Some people's stomachs say no and they can't get enough in, but if you can do it, do it.
Yes, so you can do it. I've done it and it works. I feel like I'm coming down with something, and then just get a bunch of peppers in and I'm good to go. Feel like a new person the next day, but because I sweat out all that evil chi.
That's the secret.
In the realm of cold and flu remedies, I want to talk about my immune boosting pho broth. And so
wait. You're not going to tell us about your gaduchi soup?
Oh gosh, do not make gaduchi soup. It's inedible. This is my gaduchi gotu kola amla tea that I have been drinking every day, and when I add the amla to it, it's still not delicious, but it's palatable.
That's what we're aiming for. And just while I'm thinking about it, like it is such a cute idea to want to put your herbs in your food, but like some herbs just don't taste good, don't ruin the meal.
And that's the thing. So Gaducci is like, if we go back to, we mentioned like, where did it go? The Food-Medicine Continuum. So if we imagine something like what's really food like would be rice. And something that's on the opposite end of the spectrum would be something like lobelia or calamus, something that is highly medicinal, highly effective. You need to take it in low doses. If you take too much of it, you're going to vomit. And in the middle of that, like we have some Gaducci's like right on the other side of the calamus. It's very far on the medicinal side of the spectrum. And I had just misremembered because I hadn't been in a class in so long. I could remember KP talking about Indian grandma medicine, and every grandma has a Gaducci vine in her yard. And if you feel like you're getting sick, she goes out and picks some Gaducci leaves off the Gaducci vine and makes tea. And I misremembered and heard soup.
Oh, yep.
And I made soup with a bunch of Tulsi and Gaducci, and it was inedible. It was just inedible. That's all I can say about it. But the tea is doable.
Well, one time I tried to make sog with gotu kola. No, ma'am.
I make pesto with gotu kola.
But you have fresh gotu kola, which might be better than the dried gotu kola.
It's like, but yeah, by the way, if you live in the South, if you live somewhere where it's warm most of the year, you can grow gotu kola. It's like ground cover. It spreads. You really don't have to do much to it. And it's got a really bitter, it's related to parsley. So it's funny, the stems actually do kind of taste like parsley, but the leaves are a little more bitter. I would say it's probably in the center of our food medicine continuum, but I'll mix it with basil or mint and oils and the nut of my choice. Like, pesto doesn't have to be basil and pine nuts and olive oil. You can make pesto with mint and gotu kola and hemp seed hearts and any kind of oil that you want. I do like to use olive oil. The main thing is to just blend it up really good and make sure that there's enough oil in the jar that it is covering everything. And then when you scoop it out of the jar, you need to put some more oil in there and make sure that it's covering everything, because once those greens are exposed to oxygen, they're going to lose all their goodness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beet greens and pesto. I use kale and pesto, pistachios, whatever, pecans. Like,
yeah,
it's a
just
party.
And you can just put it on anything.
Eh.
Like when I make pesto, the pesto comes out of the refrigerator for every meal, and there's pesto going on everything that I eat. And it's just one more way to get healthy fats and macronutrients and from the nuts and the oils and antioxidants and volatile oils from the greens that are in there.
Oh, this episode's gonna make me hungry. I'm so sorry. I distracted you from your immune boosting.
My immune boosting foie broth. So what I do is first I make a really hefty batch of astragalus tea. So it's 60 grams of astragalus and 32 ounces of water. I boil that. I cover and simmer for an hour. If I'm feeling fancy, I will cut up some onion and ginger and roast it in a dry cast iron skillet until it's like a little bit scorched. And then I set it aside. I'll put anise and cinnamon and clove and fennel and a cheesecloth and heat that up over some oil and with bay leaves and the onion and the ginger that I've roasted. Stir that up. I'll add some shiitake mushrooms and a little bit of fish sauce. I like using fish sauce. If you're vegetarian, you can use soy sauce. If you can use Bragg's amino acids. Personally, I just love the flavor of fish sauce, and I'm not a vegetarian. So I stir it all up until the onions are clear. I add garlic. I add a bunch, like 64 ounces of bone broth and 64 ounces of mushroom broth. I really like the Pacific brand mushroom broth. It's just It comes in a paper container and there's nothing in it but mushrooms and salt. I can pronounce all of the ingredients. So then I strain the astragalus from the decoction that's in the separate pot. I add that to the broth. I add some fish sauce to taste. And I can use this to make any kind of soup I want. I use it to make pho because I love pho. But it's just a super like jam-packed, like filled with antioxidants and all the good things from the mushrooms and the nourishment from the bone broth. And then it's got the astragalus in it. This is like, you know, eat this once a week during cold and flu season. This is a staple around here. We have this fairly often. And it's something that's medicinal and building and protective, but really tasty.
It sounds tasty. And I bet you could make a big batch of it and keep it on hand in the freezer.
Oh, this is a big batch. Let's see. So total, this yields about a gallon of broth. So I'll put it in containers and freeze it. And then it's ready to go. All I have to do is take it out of the container, run some warm water over it, pour it in a pot, turn the heat on high. It cooks right down.
Yum. I love it. And while we're on the topic, I think while you're cold, flu, even any weak, any debilitating challenges, just any deficiencies, like soups and broths in general are just healing for that. Bone broth, whether it's beef bones or chicken bones, or I'll make veggie stock broth and like keep onion peels and garlic peels and ginger peels and carrot tops and, you know, all my veggie scraps in a bag in the freezer and then turn it into a veggie broth and then cook my grains in it or use that to cook soup. Like anything you can do to extract nutrients and get it in your body in a warm vehicle, I think is going to be really helpful. Like don't ever underestimate the value of a homemade chicken noodle soup. Like these things are just like the act of cooking, it's healing. The warmth is healing. You know, we have positive associations because that's what we were fed as children. Like soups and broths in general are just they're very like nurturing. They're like hugs.
They're warming, they're moisturizing, and we have so much digestive insufficiency. If we're not digesting our food properly and assimilating the nutrients, then our body doesn't have the resources that it needs to heal. So if we can turn it into a broth or turn it into a soup, then we're just more likely to be able to absorb all the good stuff. It's like, think of it as like pre-digested food.
Yes.
So what do we want to talk about? Speaking of pre-digested food.
Oh, well, okay, we got to talk about Kitchari.
Yeah.
What Jordan calls Indian baby food, which is probably offensive, but I mean it is like, or like my stepdad calls it mush. He's like, oh, you make it more mush?
Mush?
People make fun of my Kitchari. For context, Kitchari is a very Ayurvedic staple. It's one of the most healing foods in Ayurveda. There's old wives' tales. It's wives' tales, isn't it? Is it wives? Old wives' tale that you eat nothing but Kitchari for 3 weeks and it'll cure anything you got, which is probably a little overstated, but this is like the healing food of Ayurveda. I'm gonna edit that out. I don't get any of the sayings right, and it's all Roy's fault.
It's the Swanberg affliction.
Dude!
That's why I'm laughing.
Because you know, he did us dirty and taught us all the sayings.
Y'all are great. You've overcome so much, Lila.
Thank you.
And Kitchari, I mean, it's essentially beans and rice. And it's cooked down. We make it with basmati rice. That's the only rice we use in my house. But you can make it with all different kinds of beans. You can make it with garbanzo beans. Mung beans are easier to digest. And what it really is like a vehicle to get nutrition and medicine in, because you can put what you usually put 3 vegetables in a Kitchari, and you can put whatever 3 vegetables you want to put. So if you're looking for example, supporting brain health, then you can put celery and some other brain foods.
Red peppers that are going to have lots of antioxidants. It's very augmentable. Like if you need more building foods, you can add in eggplant and lotus root and potatoes. If you need more detoxifying foods, it's cruciferous vegetables and green things. Very nice template.
Yeah.
And you can also augment the spices, so you can make it different balances for different doshas. Most kitcharis have cumin, mustard seed, turmeric in them, but it's totally augmentable of what you're putting in and what the energetics are of the finished dish, which is super cool.
Thinking about the kitchari, like you can totally make the kitchari, like if you wanted to support your reproductive system, like you basically said that you could do eggplant and like tenqui and lotus. If you wanted to support your kidneys, if you have a urinary tract infection, for example, you can put dandelion in it and parsley and different diuretics. Like you can put whatever you want in the kitchari to get the results you need.
Yeah. And you don't only have to use basmati rice if you are being a little more carb conscious, or you have maybe excess kapha and you need a lighter grain. I often use quinoa or millet. I'll do it with lentils. I'll do it with moong dal. Like get a good grain, get a good small bean, and you're off, you know. If you're retaining water, aduki beans, like aduki beans and parsley. It's very, very, very cool, just of how interchangeable all of the pieces can be. Like it is just a template that you can run with.
I've made it with black-eyed peas and purple whole peas, and I said I want to do an honorable mention to urad dal. That's the black dal, which is a sexual aphrodisiac. It's a little bit heavier. If you don't want the lightness of the mung beans, then you can add a heavier bean and just add more digestive spices, more dill, more cumin, more coriander, more. If you want to heat it, make it a little bit hotter, like really warm it up. If you're a cold individual, put some ajwan in there. You can make it however you want it. And it's traditionally, it's half mung bean, half rice, but you can do 3/4 beans and 1/4 rice, or the opposite. You're getting all your nutrition in because you've got all the macros that you need from the beans and rice. And then it's just a great way to get herbal medicine and food medicine in with the meal.
And it's really healing on the digestive system. So you're cooking the beans and rice with a higher quantity of water, and it's going to be easier on the digestive system. So if you are having digestive trouble, or if you want to do a light detox, like a Kitchari mono diet is a really, really great idea.
Yeah, it's a great way to reset your digestive system if you can just do it for a week or a month. I did it for 40 days one time. It started to feel like I was eating dog food.
40 is a lot.
Not because the kitchari tasted like dog food, but just because I was eating the same thing every day. But it gave my digestive system a rest. Because if you're putting the same thing in your body every day, your body knows what to do with it. It's like, oh, that again. Okay, we know what enzymes we need. We're going to get this done. And yeah, if you're having some digestive issues, or if you want to do a light detox, it's a great way to do it.
Yeah. Even if you just do kitchari for one meal a day, like it's easy to batch cook. It's just nutritious. Like you said, you're getting your fat, you're getting your protein. Because you usually use ghee with it. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's a little mushy, you know?
Yeah, and I think particularly if you're having issues with digestion, if you're somebody who's not having regular bowel movements, if you have bloating or gassiness after you eat, it's important to really cook it. And was our lead, right? It's pre-digested food. I tend to not cook it quite to the mushy phase.
Me neither.
And I cook the beans and rice separately. You can cook it all in one pot. It can be a one-pot meal, or you can cook the beans and rice separately. So I cook them separately, and that keeps the beans from getting like too much mush. And then I just mix it together afterwards. And it feels like grandma's house.
Yeah,
I grew
very
up on
nourishing.
beans and rice.
Yes.
But we like to use the small beans. They are easier to digest than the bigger ones.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry? I lost my note.
Should we talk about Ojas beverages?
I know you want to talk about Ojas beverages.
I think they're fun.
They are. They are fun.
So in Ayurveda, they recommend that after you have intercourse, then you and your partner go and make and drink what they call an Ojas beverage. So Ojas in Ayurveda is your life force, your vitality. Once your Ojas is gone, you're dead. So you want to preserve it. And when you have sex, it takes a little bit of energy. So you immediately after the act replenish with an Ojas beverage, something that's just really nourishing and building. It's also good partner bonding after. And I think they're fun because there's like so many different ways you can make them up and drink them, and they're warm and thick. And I definitely take license with how I make them, but I think it's a cool concept.
It's nice to, I remember, so just to like kind of elaborate on what you said about your ojas and we need ojas. This is our essence. This is the thing that keeps us going and gives us our vibrance. And it's made from shukra dhatu, which is the last in a series of 7 tissues is our shukra. And when you have sex, it depletes shukra, where you're kind of using up that tissue. And we need that tissue to make ojas. Therefore, after having your the act in the bedroom or wherever you have the act, it's you want to do something to nourish the shukra and replenish that shukra dhatu that's been used up. So, warm. I remember my grandfather getting up in the night and having warm milk
After sex?
I don't know it, but he would get up but like my grandpa, I'd stay at I stayed at my grandparents' house every summer, and they would go to bed, and I would stay up and watch movies because I was at grandma's house. And I remember he would get up and go and be like, "Ooh, I need some warm milk." There's something that this isn't something that is just Ayurveda. Everybody has like a grandparent or an uncle that drank warm milk, and they thought it was weird, but when you take the milk and you blend it up with almonds and dates and warm it up, and it's like a tasty milkshake before bed.
It is. So I'll just quick outlay of the ingredients that are usually in Ojas beverages, and there's thousands of recipes out there with hundreds of different variations. So take this for what you will. This is what I do. I always do ashwagandha and shatavari. And I always put too much, so it's less enjoyable and more medicinal, but I can't help myself because I want to get the herb in. And then I'll use dates or honey, almonds or sesame seeds. I'm sure you could really use any like nourishing nut though, no pun intended. And then I'll put a little bit of ghee in. If I have like a good raw or A2 milk, I'll use milk. If I don't, I'll use almond milk or coconut milk as a base. And then like I augment it with different flavors. Like if it needs more cooling, it'll be rose. If it needs more warming, it's cardamom and cloves and cinnamon. But you can just I said sesame seeds. You can also use poppy seeds. Seeds, nuts, building things, building herbs, building liquids, and then I boil it for 10-15 minutes and then blend it up, and you got a warm, thick beverage.
Ojas drinks are fun. Yeah,
They're fun.
I'm just now like I'm having like a light bulb moment. Like it would be one way, like people who do seed cycling, you could use whatever seeds you're using for your seed cycling.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Why not?
Yeah, I mean it's just you need health. It's healthy fats, proteins. It's almost always, I feel like it's almost always got some dates in it. It's very rare to find an Ojas beverage recipe that doesn't have dates in it, but dates are so nourishing and so good. Remember when you guys put me on, when we were in our Ayurvedic health counselor course and we did clinical theater and worked on each other, and you guys put me on a nutritional protocol. I was like, I'm taking too many herbs. I don't want herbs. And you guys had me doing bone broth every day and eating, I think I had to eat 5 dates every day.
Uh-huh. That sounds like a nice protocol.
It was like life-changing. Like, I challenge anyone, if you're just feeling low energy, just have 5 dates every day and see what happens after a month.
Dates are delicious.
They're tasty and they're nourishing, they're blood purifying, they're good things, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll reiterate, it's just a sweet bonding activity. You know, I don't know, it's cute.
So we talked a lot about a lot of building things and nourishing things. And we touched on a little bit of detoxification with the Kitchari, but we gotta talk about root vegetables.
I made borscht last night.
I've never made borscht. Tell me about the borscht.
Oh, it's so good.
I think
Yeah.
I'm turned off by the name.
Oh, really? I
It
remember
doesn't sound like something I want to eat.
I'm gonna date myself here, but I remember an episode of Rugrats and like the dad or something was eating borscht and it was beet soup. And as a kid, you're like, ew, how gross. But now as an adult, I'm like, yum. But there's many variations if you're doing like a Russian variation or a Ukrainian variation. The base is beets. So it's shredded beets, carrots, cabbage, celery, onion. You can put meat in it or not. I keep mine simple and I just load it with a ton of veggies, cook it in a broth, add some spices, and it's simple and I'll eat it with yogurt on top. And it's just so good. And it's
Sounds
so
good.
easy. It's such an easy way to get beets in. And it's so pretty. It's just like this nice red-ish color. So taproot veggies.
Yeah, so root veggies. So we know that like a ridiculously high percentage of people in our culture have liver stagnation and that it causes all kinds of issues. I would be willing to bet that like if you have hemorrhoids or any kind of menstrual dysregulation or complaints about your menstrual cycle, if you have anxiety or insomnia or
Headaches and migraines.
skin problems,
Eye issues.
yeah, I'm trying. What else? It's just anger issues.
Yeah, irritability. If you see those little red dots on people, those are signs of liver stagnation.
Or the cherry angiomas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's those and digestive issues in general. These
Mm-hmm.
are all signs. So I think I'd be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't have one of those things,
Yep.
at least.
That non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is becoming so prevalent. It's mind-boggling. So yes, liver issues are just front and center for many Americans.
Front and center. And so, like, y'all, it's your liver. It's stressed out. And anything you can do to build and detoxify your liver is going to help you. And all taproot vegetables have a positive effect on the liver. But my favorites are beets.
100%. I mean, what are they competing with? Carrots, turnips, parsnips, rutabagas?
Daikon.
Yeah, beets are the winner.
Beets are the winner. I think. Burdock.
Burdock.
If you don't know what burdock is, you can buy it at your local Chinese grocery store. It's like a really long white carrot. And
Yeah.
it's amazing stuff.
And that's really pushing up, like, we eat it as food, but it's higher on closer to the medicine side than most foods. But like, it's good.
It's food. Yeah, I think it's a very medicinal food. In Asia, they eat it as food. We, for some reason, don't eat it as food, but it tastes like food to me. It
Yeah.
tastes more like food than bitter melon does.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking radishes are also great taproot veggies. I know you said daikon, but like all radishes are going to be good. And we really utilize radishes.
I'm telling you, I grow radishes when it's cool outside, and I take the greens and I make kimchi with them. And the ones that I pull out of my yard, and I like the French breakfast radish. It's like super purple, and black Spanish radishes, but even just the plain, like normal red round radish, the ones that come out of my yard, taste so much better than the ones at the grocery store. They're like
Oh, I bet.
they're so spicy. Like they have so much like pungent flavor. And this is one of the recipes that I think I'd like to share. And this is Robin Landis's Preparation Bee Soup. It's a hemorrhoid remedy, but I've eaten it just because it's delicious. And it's an onion, garlic, coriander, dried basil, 5 carrots, an ounce of stewed tomato, 1 can of stewed tomatoes, 20 radishes, red cabbage, 10 beets, and black pepper. And it makes this like fluorescent pink soup that is just delicious and totally detoxifying and liver healing.
Delicious.
Every family in America should have this for dinner once a week.
Yeah. I eat a lot of beets and I'll just boil. I like them boiled better than roasted, and I'll just boil a big batch and cut them up and then just eat them on the side of whatever I'm eating. Salads, add them to soups, add them to kitchari. Just beets.
See, and I'm lazy, so I buy them canned. But
You're not lazy, you're Southern. That's a Southern thing.
Is that a Southern thing? I'll buy them fresh and use them like if I'm making a soup. My husband doesn't like them in soups because he's a chef, so part of his thing with food is that it should look appetizing. And if you put beets in a soup with a bunch of green vegetables, the soup turns gray. And it doesn't look like something that you want to eat, and he won't eat it. So, I will juice it. I will buy it fresh and put it in a stir fry, but it's so easy to, there's one brand that I know of that's it's like the HEB brand, but I'm sure everybody can find a particular can of beets that doesn't have anything in it but organic beets and water. That's all it is. I'm always looking for nothing that I can't pronounce, and they're already cooked up, and I can chop them up into little pieces and put them in a salad or just eat them on the side of my meal. And they give your skin a healthy glow. That's why your skin's so beautiful, Lila. It's all the beets you eat.
Found a youth right there, baby.
It's your liver. Take care of your liver. Eat more beets.
I love it. As we're pushing up on time, I think we should do a quick recap, and then I have a couple honorable mentions. Or maybe I'll do my honorable mentions first, and then if you have anything. But I just want to call out the combination of garlic, onions, and ginger is like the holy trinity. Use it in everything. In your soups, in your sauces, in your veggies. It is just such a healing, synergistic, flavorful addition to foods. It's really warming. It's good stuff. And my only other last honorable mention was saute your veggies in hingue stock.
Oh, yes.
Because it's delicious. Like cabbage. I saute cabbage and I'll eat that with my eggs for breakfast, and I'll put hingue stock in it, and it's just yummy, and it's just so good for the digestive system. And using, turmeric in your cooking, using hing in your cooking, using warming spices like cardamom and cumin and dill and fennel and cinnamon and, all of the things in your cooking is just going to be one more thing in the right direction.
That's what I think about and I think I live in a bubble because, in the South, people complain about going north because they don't use as many spices in their food as we do here. And I think that I'm kind of like in this, geographic area where we're very close to Louisiana that has a lot of very rich culinary influence, and the culture of Louisiana really revolves around food. It revolves around cooking and eating. Life happens in the kitchen here. And then we also have the Mexican and the Central and South American influence, where there's a lot of, there's a lot of garlic, there's a lot of onion, there's a lot of hot peppers. And so we cook with a lot of spices and a lot of flavors. But if you go to places in the world where people use our aromatic spices, like the Mediterranean, Italy, where there's oregano and basil and thyme is being put into every meal, or in India, where things like cumin and coriander and ginger are being used in every meal. People live longer. They have less heart problems. They have less diabetes. Even though they're eating all this bread and rice, they have less of the problems that plague us today. And they're getting so many antioxidants in with their spices. And so, yeah, flavor your food. Cook with spices. If you don't like heat, there's a lot of things you can do to flavor your food that isn't hot. Use fennel, use dill, use coriander, use sweet onions instead of white onions. And yeah, get those spices in. Let's flavor our food. Flavor is good for us.
Oh yeah, and I think the variety of having a lot of different herbs and spices in our food, like you said, it's endlessly beneficial. So definitely expand upon the limited things you're doing now and just have fun with it. I think it's, experiment, pick up a random spice from the grocery store and just start to learn how to cook with it, learn how to use it, and then it gets added to your repertoire and these things get easier and less daunting or intimidating. You don't have to, know it all in a day, but, next time you're at the store, pick up some caraway and figure out what to do with it.
Yeah. Find something you've never tried before. Say, I don't know what this is. I'm going to get it and take it home and taste it.
I love doing that. Okay, well, hopefully we covered some good healing foods and strategies to get some good healing nutrients in.
Oh, I think we did. I think we covered some good stuff. And we're gonna post some recipes, guys. I'll put a little slide deck with some good recipes for you guys, and try one, and let us know how it goes. Please email us or take a picture and tag us on Instagram. We want to know what kind of healthy healing foods you're eating today.
Yes, and we swear we're gonna be more active on Instagram one day.
It's coming. I'm working on some scheduling stuff, really.
I'm still trying to manifest whoever wants the social media work trade.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Not bad. Well, thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, Lila. This was fun, and I'm starving.
I know, I'm about to go eat.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Herbalism Uncensored. We're genuinely humbled by the love and support you've shown us. If you've been enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and don't hesitate to reach out. Whether it's with a question, a success story, or a topic you'd love us to explore in a future episode. And remember, both Alicia and Lila, that's me, run virtual clinics. We'd love for you to check out what we're up to. You can find Alicia's practice Holistically Correct at holisticallycorrect.com, and you can learn more about my work at the Virtual Natural Healing Clinic by visiting tvnhc.com. Until next time, be well, stay grounded, and keep healing.